everyone, it's Jenny's Hobbies coming at ya. And I've got so many things to share. I was thinking I would make it into a few different videos, but you know what, I'm just gonna cram it all into one. So please be sure to watch to the end. I would really appreciate it. So let's get started on what's been going on. Now I should tell you that for Thanksgiving, neither the landlady nor I cook. I mean, it's not that I can't cook, it's just that I don't want to. Although I might post a few videos sometime in the future of a few different things that I make, including fruitcake, which if you don't like fruitcake, I'm just going to say it once, and it's the truth, is that you've never had good fruitcake. And I'm going to show you good fruitcake, because I've had some mediocre fruitcake and some dry fruitcake, but my mother passed on the recipe for the best fruitcake. And so one of these days, probably in December, I will film a video. I'm not sure I'll post it in December, but I will film how I make the fruitcake. So anyhow, my landlady and I, we didn't cook, and so what we do is every year at Thanksgiving, we and her extended family that live in the area will get together at a place in Glendale, California called Tam O'Shanter, and it's part of the Lowry's restaurant chain. You know, they're a steakhouse chain, and Tam O'Shanter is Scottish themed. So what I always get is called Toad in the Hole, which is a Yorkshire pudding about as big as your hand, and the inside is filled with kind of like a very thick beef stew, but I suspect the beef is prime rib. It's very nice beef, and then it's got onions and carrots and gravy and everything. I mean, it's gorgeous, and here's a picture of it. So that's what we did for Thanksgiving. I hope all of you had a really great Thanksgiving. Now, let's get on to the video. Alrighty then, let's get to the yarn haul portion of this video. So around November 1st, Premier Yarns was having a really good sale, and I was all out of variegated yarns, which I use for making hats. So I said, you know what, it's time to get some yarn. They're on sale. So I ended up getting 16 skeins of the Just Yarn worsted weight or worsted value ombre. I got 16. Did I say that already? And so there's 8 colors and 2 skeins of each color. And this first one is called, they're all still in plastic, Eggplant Ombre. Let's see. So I have 2 of those. I think, let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna, you're gonna hear a crash because I'm gonna toss them back into the box. And then I got 2 of this denim ombre. And let's see, I got 2 of, this one's called Butterscotch Ombre. And there are, wait a minute, there's 612 yards, and it's 9.8 ounces. These are $5 each. So that's a good deal. So 2 of those. And then this one is Rust Ombre. So 2 of those. And this one is Azure Ombre. So 2 of those. Let's see. Oops. Okay, my stack just fell down. This one is Turquoise Ombre. 2 of those. And all of these, all of them, will be used for making hats next year. I still have to figure out a place to put them this year. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Okay, this one is called, what is it called? Sea Glass Ombre. Yeah, so I'll have a lot of ombre hats. And this one is called Moss Ombre. So, there we go. Welcome to the crochet section of the video. So, since my last video, which was towards the end of October, I have been very, very busy making hats. And all of my hats get donated. But after I had donated a bunch, and I keep track of where they're going, I thought, what if I got up to making 200 hats this year? Which is kind of crazy because in the past I've sort of had a hat making phobia, but this one pattern by Bag O' Day works really well for me. So guess what? I ended up making 200 of that hat, and it's called the Quicksilver Beanie. I will link it below in the description. So let me just show you, since the end of October, how many hats I have made to reach that 200 mark. And actually I reached it and haven't made any since. I reached it 2 days before Thanksgiving. I really wanted to have some time to be rested and whatever for Thanksgiving. And I should also add that because it takes me, say, approximately 4 hours to make one of these beanies, there's over 1,500 stitches of double crochets in this. I figure with 200, that's 20 weeks of 40-hour weeks. That's how much time I put into making hats this year. So that's a lot. So let me get started and just show you what I've got going. So I had a whole bunch of skinny chenille to use up after making baby blankets. So I made some hats in skinny chenille. There's one. And so I had a bunch of this gray to use up. And there's also white and some multicolor thing in there. I think it's called Panda. 2. And I had some yellow skinny chenille to use up. I still have a tiny bit. I'll figure it out. And obviously I had a lot of that gray and white and yellow. So then I also had a bunch in, let's see, this, I think this is the Panda. And another whole one in that Panda. And blues with still using up the gray. And I had a lot of yellow. Let's see, let me put them back here. Here's another yellow one. And let's see, is that, no, oh, look, here's another blue one. Those skinny chenille skeins are huge. They make a lot of stuff. Okay, is that all the skinny chenille? I think so. Okay, so then, because I'm all out of variegated yarns, I just started using and combining whatever yarns that I wanted. See what effect I got. So this little bit right here, that was the last of that blue I had. Well, I have a whole nother skein of it, but it's a jumbo skein and I didn't feel like breaking it out. Okay, and this one. And this one. And this one I kind of like the design, so I actually wrote down how I changed the colors and what rows I changed them in. I thought this one came out really nice. And then this, another blue one. And this part right here is, it's a gray or blue sparkle. It looks very gray. I don't know if you can see the sparkle, but it's sparkle yarn. Then this one. I don't know if you're counting it. I'm not counting. This one. Okay. And my niece, she would be a great niece, she requested a black or yellow hat, so I made her a black and yellow hat. So, little bumblebee action going on there. This one, I'm showing the back. You wouldn't think there's a difference, but the back has a seam right down right there. So, okay. This hat has two different sparkles in it. I don't know if the sparkles are showing up, but the red is a sparkle yarn. I think that came from Hobby Lobby, and the white is a sparkle yarn. And then it has chenille for the edge. So all of these hats I pretty much made in November. Just to reach my goal of 200. And I didn't set out to have a goal of 200. I just kept making them. That's all. But, okay. Here's this one. There were some days towards the end when I was just desperately trying to finish them that I was working like 10-hour days. And those 10-hour days of crochet are absolutely exhausting. So let's see, there's that. Now I might still make a few more hats in December, but I have so many other projects that I've put off that I don't know if I will or not. Now this one, I made it and I showed a picture of it to a friend and she loved it, and so I said, well, you can have it then. But I liked it so much I had to make 2 of them. So here's one. It's kind of peppermint looking, and here's the other one. So those are my hats, and I think my next project is to make all the appliques for the 2019 Jaded and Stitches folk art blanket. Now I have 2 of the blanket backgrounds already made, but one of my great nephews is old enough now to have one, you know, because I don't give them to the great nephews when they're really tiny. That's what a baby blanket is for. And speaking of baby blankets, I have just found out that I have a great niece on the way, and so I need to make another baby blanket. So that is those are my crochet projects. I also have some amigurumis to make. My niece had sent me a pattern for a dog. It was one of the knotted loveys. But I said, you know, if you want me to make this look like your dog, this is not the right pattern for that. And so I have some other patterns that I have bookmarked on Etsy, and I think some of the other patterns will work better for what she's wanting. But that project is down the line a little bit because I also have to make a Spider-Man for a great nephew. So, yeah, that's my crochet world at the moment. Today I have 3 special hats to show you. So I contacted my niece who lives near Buffalo, New York, and you know, it gets freezing cold there in the winter. And I said, you know, I've got this huge supply of hats and lots of different colors, so would you like a few? And she has, well, there's 2 little kids in the house and then a teenage daughter. So I said, I'm only offering adult hats. I don't make hats for kids. So what colors would you like? Well, she gave me 3 colors that were not in my inventory. So I had to make them from scratch, and let me show you. So her husband, who's my nephew, is a Denver Broncos fan. So at first I had a different one because I have some orange ones. You know, Denver Broncos are orange and blue. But then I thought, yeah, I'll just make him a Denver Broncos hat. So here's this one. And then she said she wanted a red one. So here's this one. Looks a little Santa Clausy. And this is a sparkle yarn in here. And then their daughter, their teenage daughter, she said that she wanted either black or yellow for her teenage daughter, and so I did black and yellow. So kind of a little bumblebee hat. And these are getting sent out in the mail tomorrow. So I had to make this video to show them before I send them out. Well, you would think it was June, but it's not. It's December. And things sort of started happening butterfly-wise in October. October 15th to be exact. I found this little guy. I'll put his picture up right over here. I found him crawling up the wall. Now this is a caterpillar for a western great swallowtail. And I've discovered this year that they particularly like to munch on the lime trees. Now I have 3 lime trees. I have a Thai lime, a key lime, and a finger lime. I haven't found one on the finger lime this year, but I did last year. But anyways, this year I found 2, but this was the biggest one, and I just happened to see him crawling up the wall, which meant that he was getting ready to go make his chrysalis. And so I captured it and I put it in my critter cage with some leaves if he still wanted to eat, but usually when they've crawled off like that, they're done. They're ready to make their chrysalis. But I put him in with some leaves anyways, and he kind of ate, but then he went up the side, and this is the position that he gets into when it's making the chrysalis, before it makes a chrysalis. And then this is the chrysalis a little bit later. The great western swallowtails are very slow to form, and he's still in the critter cage. It has been quite a while, and yeah, it'll be a couple months before it hatches, but it's safe in the critter cage. Then on November 1st, I'm just out watering my milkweed, and lo and behold, I look down and there's a fat little monarch caterpillar. And I like to call them fatties when they're in their final stages, because they get really plump and fat. And it just is like not even monarch season. But what I did, because he was a fatty and I knew he was in the end stage before he makes a chrysalis, I plucked him off of there with some milkweed and put him in the critter cage with the great western swallowtail. And sure enough, a couple days later, he had went to the top and formed his little chrysalis, which you'll see in this little bit of film right
and here's
here.
That new little chrysalis.
And right over here. And now and then I had 2 chrysalis in there, totally different species. And 12 days later, he hatched. And I'll put that little bit of film here. You know, it was very hard for me to film. Actually, it was a female. And if you don't know the difference between a male and a female monarch, on their lower black stripes, the males will have a dot and the females don't. So this one was a female, and it was just too hard for me to, she flew off instantly, which was I was kind of worried about her because we were expecting 4 or 5 days of rain. So hopefully she flew far enough south, because she'll be on her way to Mexico. But it was just very hard for me because she flew up and was gone. So now I'm just waiting on this other little guy to emerge, and I have no idea the difference between male and female great western swallowtails. Now there was another one that I was watching on the key lime bush, and it was getting pretty big, but it wasn't what I would consider a fatty. But then one day I just couldn't find it anymore. So I thought, well, maybe it's gone and made a chrysalis. And it did, up in the eaves of the, I kind of have a part of a ceiling over part of my outdoor porch. And there it was, up in the rafters, just like this picture. So I've had a little bit of a butterfly season. Now there was a small one, he was about 1 inch long, and I haven't seen that one since the rain. Well, even before the rain. I have no idea what happened to it. Maybe a bird got it or something. I've just no idea. So maybe it's still in there somewhere. They're very good at camouflage, but I just haven't found it. Maybe it hopped bushes. Maybe it went over. It was on the key or the tie line. Maybe it climbed over to the key line. I don't know. Anyhow, it's weird to have a butterfly season this time of year. Well, not for the great westerns, but for the monarchs, it's totally out of season for them. So that's it for this video, and thank you very much for watching. If you're not subscribed, please feel free to subscribe. Just hit the bell icon below and you will get notified when I post a new video. And until next time, have a great, great week. Bye-bye.